SFX, what are they? A small exception to, bending of, or variation on a general rule that, for a cost, grants a benefit to a character, scene, or player. The simple format, generally, an SFX can be considered to have the following basic structure. When condition is met, I pay the cost to gain the benefit. Some examples. When my character is injured, I step up that injury to gain a plot point. Remember that plot points are a non-die way to influence the narrative, so this SFX would represent something like the pushing stress mod if that wasn't being used, but the concept still fit a character, or if the build featured injury often, or if this particular character somehow used injuries to fuel their agency and presence in the narrative. Think about Marvel's Wolverine or Hulk, or any moment in a story where the main character, quote, gets back up one last time. Another example, if there are robots in the scene, I spend a plot point to disable them with my EMP blaster. Here, a character is using their plot point, their power to influence the narrative, to completely disable any robots that happen to be in the scene. Now, it may seem overpowered at first, but would feel right at home in a build centered on battling robotic hordes and or cyberpunk themes. Plot points are a finite resource, and more limiting factors could be introduced if needed. Robot companions, for example. Last example, when completely surrounded, I double my solo affiliation. Now this example combines the condition and cost into a singular instance, being completely surrounded. Under those circumstances, this character can double their solo affiliation die. This is effectively saying, when I'm cut off from any allies or aid operating totally alone, that's when I shine. The cost, then, is not being able to take advantage of anyone's help, and in a more narrative sense, it isn't the same as just using a solo die. This says completely surrounded, which probably means facing off against a mob or a crisis pool. Consider too that there's a kind of hidden cost in that this SFX is taking up space on a character sheet that might be used for something else. A player who chooses this is communicating the sort of scenes they're going to want to see from time to time, and the GM and other players should take note. Some tips. SFX can be almost anything, and a list of them can vary so much from build to build that it's hardly worth standardizing them. But the examples in the Cortex Prime game handbook and in the Tales of Xadia game handbook are an excellent start. Pretty much any SFX that I've made can be reduced to something that already exists somewhere. When it comes to creating them then, try not to get too over-focused. A first pass at an SFX is probably going to be pretty close to what is needed or desired. Reserve the right to rewrite a bit after the first session or two if needed. A lot of SFX use plot points as a cost, so a build should also have plenty of opportunities to earn plot points. The Hinder SFX itself is great for this. SFX can do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to modeling things that don't quite fit into the basic rule set of Cortex, but probably don't warrant a new rule or mod. The best way to get better at writing SFX is to write SFX. So conclusion, SFX are ideal for calling out special applications of traits or ability to influence a narrative in some way, and are almost impossible to, quote, get wrong, as long as the basic condition, cost, benefit structure is at least loosely adhered to.